What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down 3 tips that every single wide receiver should know. So we're going to be talking about how you guys can get more separation against press coverage by knowing what a DB is doing, how you guys can eliminate wasted motion at the top of your routes, and just some overall things that'll make you a better route runner and better overall wide receiver. So I hope this video helps you guys out, but also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you want to get some work in with us this offseason, we have 2 more opportunities to train. We're going to be coming out to Salt Lake City, Utah, and Los Angeles, California for the month of July for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camp. So if you guys want some more information on that, what we'll be covering, we're going to be doing wide receiver versus DB one-on-ones. We'll have over 3 hours each day of skill-specific training. So check out that very first link below, fellas. We'd love to have you out to one of our 2 remaining camps this year. Let's get started with this video. So first thing that you have to understand is to not force a release. So this wide receiver shows a prime example of forcing a release and what can happen when you force a route into a DB's leverage. So as a wide receiver, you got to think as a DB. You got to understand, okay, why is a DB playing this way? What is he trying to accomplish with this coverage? Because that is how you can make or structure your own specific plan off the line. So when I have a DB who's lined up inside shade, I think we all can agree he's shaded to the inside. That means that he has inside leverage. Inside leverage means that he is not trying to give up the inside. That is his sole purpose in life, is to not give up the inside release. So he wants you to not run the slant. He doesn't want you to run the post, the dig. So what this wide receiver does is he forces it. A common mistake that a lot of wide receivers think is that if you're running an inside breaking route like a post, like a dig, like a curl, you have to take the inside release. That could be the furthest thing from the truth. You have to be comfortable with an inside release or an outside release on any given route based on the DB's leverage. So we're going to be showing this example, break it down, then we're going to show an example from Cooper Kupp doing it the correct way. So this wide receiver, as you can see, he kind of forces it, right? He gives a move to the outside with this DB being inside shade. When you fake outside and this DB's inside shade, he's okay with you running to the outside. Quite frankly, he wants you to take the outside release so he could get hands into your hip and force you to the sideline. So if you give a fake outside, that really doesn't do anything. When you try to force the inside release, this is exactly what's going to happen. DB's going to get hands. He's going to reroute you to the middle of the field. He's going to be all over you. And when you break on that post, that's easy work for this DB because he is all over you. Not to mention, if you guys have another route, like let's say you're an outside receiver and you're running a post, and let's say this slot receiver is running a dig. If you get rerouted all the way to the middle of the field, you are way too close to the dig, and one defender can end up covering 2 routes. And that is very, very bad from an offensive play concept perspective. So we just want to make sure we do not force releases no matter what the route is. If it's an inside route, you could take an outside release if needed. So let's play this full speed, and then we'll get to a good example of this clip. But you got to understand, why is the DB playing inside? To take away the inside, so we have to probably take that outside release. Okay, so now, this is Cooper Kupp, and he's running this corner route that everybody saw him run in the playoffs this year. Now, what coverage does this, or what? Not so much what coverage is it, what leverage does the DB have? He has outside shade, press, just like the last clip. So, if he's outside shade, what is he trying to protect? Trying to protect the outside, just like the inside shade route. Now, he's running a corner route. That's a route to the leverage. So when it's pressed like this, I probably won't be able to take an outside release because I could get rerouted and this DB will be all over it, right? Very similar to the post versus inside shade. So let's play this full speed. Let's watch what Cooper Kupp does. He attacks his leverage and then takes the inside release and is able to get space over the top on that corner. So that is the name of the game, fellas, because at the end of the day, you press releases for a DB. What is he trying to do? Or not so much press release, press coverage. What is he trying to do? Disrupt timing and get hands on you. And the hands will disrupt the timing. But if I can take what he gives me, I can still get off the ball fast, quickly, and maintain timing with my quarterback. Nothing changes. It's just like I'm running the route against off coverage. So what Cooper Kupp does is he attacks the leverage of the DB. That threatens him to where this DB does not want to go. So like in the last example, we had that inside shade coverage, and what that receiver should have done is probably threatened him inside, try to get the DB to move, then take the outside release. In this case, that is exactly what Kupp's doing, just the opposite way. He threatens him to the outside, makes him think fade, makes him think he's taking some kind of outside release to get that DB to just hesitate. We don't need him to jump. We just need him to hesitate for a second so I could get the free inside release. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, coach, if I take an inside release on a corner and he's hip to hip with me and he's over the top and I can't run that thing, then that's bad. I'm not going to be able to get separation. Sometimes the DB might be in a good spot, but we have to have a plan for that as a wide receiver. So I take this inside release. What do you think I want to do? My main goal, my main focus is to restack, right? I want to get as skinny as possible. I want to get this DB trailing my back hip. So if I'm at the top of the break, I could do a move like a rocker step, a head and shoulder fake to the inside, like throw that upper body to the fake to the inside to get this DB to bite, get him to slip, and I could get space. Now, again, it may not always happen like this where we make the DB look foolish, we get him to fall down, we get a ton of separation. Sometimes he might be right there. So like I said, you have to have a plan for that. You got to be able to react to if a DB plays this thing correctly. So if I got a DB right here, like let's say the break's right now, what do you think Cup should do? He could throw him by. So he could take that left hand, throw by on the shoulder, throw by on the hip, and slip underneath. So now when he has this outside breaking route, instead of forcing the outside release so he could break it off smoothly and have only about a yard or two to the sideline, he could throw him by, slip under, and now he's got tons of space to the outside because he didn't force the release. Fellas, to play the wide receiver position effectively, you have to get comfortable taking an inside release or an outside release no matter what the route is. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Cup, attacking that DB's leverage, taking that inside release, and then hitting him with that rocker step to win over the top. Okay, so now, next thing I want to talk about. Every wide receiver needs to know how to get skinny on a route. So if you're running an inside breaking route, an outside breaking route, you have to get skinny. So this wide receiver shows a perfect example of that and how that could create you some separation. So whether it's inside shade or outside shade press, DB has some kind of help. If he's outside shade like so, just like the last example, where is his help? His help is inside, right? He's trying to take away the outside release to force you inside because that's where his help is. Now, if he's inside shade, where is his help? His help is the sideline because obviously if you run out of bounds, you're out of the play. That's his help. If he forces you all the way to that sideline, that is like being double teamed. So you have to make sure that we are aware of that, but getting skinny on my route doesn't allow the DB to force you to his help. So let's play this thing full speed. So this wide receiver does a great wide step release and he gets skinny on the stem. That is the key right there, fellas. So many guys against outside shade press, they'll attack the guy's leverage like they should, just like this wide receiver does, but off of the release, they will just run to the inside and go run the post. Like they'll just run, take super wide angle, and then they'll push vertical. But that wide angle right there allows that DB to recover. You have to make sure that when I do this release like that, or when I get him to jump off the platform like so, and I take the inside release, I am right away getting back into his cushion. I call that getting skinny. I want to be hip to hip with the guy to not give him space to react. So if I need to, I could restack, but also I'm not just running directly into his safety help. Same thing on the other side. If I got inside shade, and let's say I got to run a 10-yard out, I don't want to attack his leverage inside, then take a super wide angle and break on this out route because that super wide angle where I run away from the DB, I'm just cutting down field space. I'm giving that QB like a yard or two to throw me open. You have to make sure that if he were to be inside shade, just like outside shade, I'd attack him and I get skinny. So I give the QB space to throw me open, and I sell vertical and stretch the DB vertically. So fellas, second thing that every wide receiver should know is how to get skinny on every single route, no matter what it is. Even if it's an outside breaking route. We saw Cooper Kupp on the last example. He got skinny, so that DB would be trailing his back hip, and he could work some kind of move like a rocker step at the top. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by this wide receiver hitting that wide step and then being able to get skinny to get separation on that dig. All right, so now, last example, last thing that wide receivers should know how to do is pair their routes together. So you hear a lot of people talk about got to sell fade, got to sell fade. Every single route should be a fade until it's not a fade. I say it myself included. That's one of the heavy things that I preach. But there are times where you can be a little bit more creative with that. And today we're going to be talking about how to use a vertical set move to set yourself up to actually sell the fade. So let's play this full speed. So Stephon Diggs comes out. He uses this vertical set move, attacks that blind spot of the DB, and then is able to win on that dig. So let's talk about it. So if you were running a fade route versus this specific coverage, right? Like again, we talk about, hey, you got to sell fade. Every route should look like a fade. Every route underneath from a 5-yard hitch to a 12-yard dig. Those should all look like fades until the last possible second. Now, a more creative way to do that is to pair your routes together. So if you were to run a fade against off coverage like so, you would go at him, you would try to step on his toes, and you would give a head fake to the inside. They call that a vertical set. You'd give a hard cut with your left foot inside, try to get this DB to maybe settle his feet, try to get him to bite on the post, and then you would slip behind. So now when I have other routes against this off coverage look, when I have like, let's say, for example, I'm playing a team throughout the week and they love to play off man. They love to play zone. I'm on the outside and that DB loves to play in like cover 3 where he's looking at the quarterback and you're attacking him and you give him a move inside. There are a lot of different ways that you can run routes. So if I have to run this dig route, rather than me just maybe running up to him, stepping on his toes, and then snapping down, kind of a basic move, which it could still work, I want to make it look like that fade. So I use that vertical set inside. From this point on, it looks exactly like how you would run a fade route. So maybe you've shown that on film. Maybe you've done it once before in the game, but you're pairing the routes together. Because when you can do that, that makes you unpredictable. DBs rely heavily on film study. So they might think that every time you're in off coverage, they see a receiver run up, do the vertical set, then try to run behind. They might think, okay, if I see that vertical set and I'm in off coverage and he gives me that fake inside, okay, I'm thinking fade. I'm not going to get beat over the top. So when I do that, I could snap it off in the blind spot and I could win on this route because I paired them together and I made my route unpredictable. Now, another thing, you could do this on an outside breaking route. I come up to this DB, I'm stepping on his toes. I give him a head fake inside first. And then where do I go? I run to that blind spot. He could easily run a comeback right here. He could easily just sit it down and run a stop route, but he ends up running a dig. So fellas, make sure that we know how to pair my routes together, especially when I'm going up against that off coverage look. All right, let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. So 3 things, fellas, that you need to remember. Make sure we know how to take what the DB gives me, make sure we know how to get skinny on routes, and make sure we know how to pair my routes together. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. Always great to hear from you guys as usual. And again, fellas, if you'd like to come out to one of our 2 remaining off-season training camps, we're coming out to Salt Lake City, Utah, and then Los Angeles, California to finish it off. So check out that very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.